What's going on, everyone? And welcome back. If you've been thinking about healing in Project Ascension, Conquest of Azeroth, you've probably asked yourself one question: which healer is actually the best? With so many unique classes and healing playstyles available, choosing the right healer isn't always easy. Some healers specialize in keeping a single target alive through massive incoming damage. Others excel at healing the entire raid after devastating mechanics. Some offer incredible utility that can completely change the outcome of a dungeon, and a few are simply easier to learn, making them excellent choices for newer players. The important thing to remember is this: healing isn't only about restoring health bars. A great healer also brings utility, cooldown management, survivability, and the ability to stay calm when everything starts going wrong. That's exactly what we're going to cover today. In this video, I'll rank the strongest PvE healers in the current Conquest of Azeroth meta. We'll talk about where each specialization shines, where it struggles, which content it performs best in, and which healer I recommend depending on your experience level. Just one quick disclaimer before we begin. This list isn't based only on raw healing numbers. I'm also considering utility, survivability, mana efficiency, group support, flexibility, and overall performance in Mythic Dungeons and raids. With that out of the way, let's jump into the rankings. How I rank these healers. Before looking at individual classes, let's quickly explain what separates an S-tier healer from an average one. The first category is raw healing output. Can the class consistently keep the group alive during heavy damage? Burst healing is important, but so is sustained healing over longer encounters. Next comes utility. Can the healer remove harmful effects? Provide defensive buffs? Increase movement speed? Reduce incoming damage? Utility often matters just as much as healing itself. The third category is mana efficiency. Running out of mana halfway through a boss fight is one of the fastest ways to wipe a group. Healers that can maintain strong output without constantly struggling for mana naturally rank higher. The fourth factor is mobility. Many modern encounters require constant movement. Being able to heal effectively while repositioning is an enormous advantage. Finally, there's difficulty. Some healers are incredibly powerful but require near-perfect cooldown management. Others are much easier to play while still producing excellent results. We'll consider all of those factors throughout today's rankings. S-tier, Oracle. Starting off our rankings, we have Oracle. If your goal is clearing the hardest PvE content available, Oracle is one of the strongest healers you can bring. The biggest reason is consistency. Oracle performs exceptionally well in almost every situation. Heavy raid damage, constant dungeon pressure, unexpected mistakes. The class always seems to have an answer. Its healing toolkit feels incredibly complete. Strong direct heals, reliable area healing, powerful emergency cooldowns, excellent group support. Because of that flexibility, Oracle rarely feels out of place. Another reason Oracle ranks so highly is reliability. Some healers depend heavily on very specific conditions to maximize their healing. Oracle performs well even when encounters become unpredictable. That's a huge advantage during progression raids where mistakes are common. The class also scales very well with better gear. As your equipment improves, both your healing output and overall efficiency increase noticeably. If there's one weakness, it's that Oracle rewards preparation. Knowing when to use your major cooldowns separates good players from great ones. But once mastered, Oracle is easily one of the strongest healers currently available. S-tier, Spirit Warden. The second S-tier healer is Spirit Warden. Where Oracle focuses on consistency, Spirit Warden excels at handling sustained group damage. Long encounters are where this class really shines. Instead of relying on massive panic heals every few minutes, Spirit Warden keeps the group stable throughout the entire fight. Its healing overtime effects provide incredible value during encounters with continuous incoming damage. Another advantage is efficiency. Spirit Warden manages resources extremely well, allowing experienced players to maintain strong healing without exhausting their mana pool too early. The class also brings valuable utility that benefits the entire party. In Mythic Dungeons especially, that extra support often makes difficult pulls significantly easier. Spirit Warden isn't necessarily the flashiest healer, but it consistently performs at an incredibly high level. And consistency is exactly what you want from a progression healer. Those are my two S-tier healers. If your primary goal is pushing difficult Mythic Dungeons or progressing through challenging raids, both Oracle and Spirit Warden are outstanding choices. But don't worry if neither of those classes matches your preferred playstyle. Several A-tier healers perform extremely well and, in the hands of skilled players, can easily compete with the very best. Let's take a look at those next. A-tier, Templar. Starting off A-tier, we have the Templar. Templar is one of the safest healer choices in Conquest of Azeroth. It may not have the explosive healing output of Oracle, but what it does offer is consistency, survivability, and reliability. One of the biggest strengths of Templar is its ability to stabilize groups after mistakes. We've all been in those dungeon runs where someone stands in a mechanic they shouldn't have, or the tank accidentally pulls one extra pack. Templars excel in these situations because they have the tools to quickly recover a group that's on the verge of collapsing. Another major advantage is personal survivability. A dead healer can't save anyone, and Templar has plenty of defensive abilities that allow it to survive encounters that might overwhelm more fragile healers. This makes it especially forgiving for newer players who are still learning dungeon mechanics. Templar also performs well in raids where incoming damage is predictable. If you know when the big damage windows are coming, you can prepare your cooldowns ahead of time and keep the raid stable. So why isn't it S-tier? Mainly because it lacks some of the flexibility and utility offered by Oracle and Spirit Warden. It's excellent at healing damage, but it doesn't always provide the same level of group support or adaptability during chaotic encounters. Even so, if you're looking for a dependable healer that performs well in nearly every type of PvE content, Templar is an excellent choice. A-tier, Witch Doctor. Next up is the Witch Doctor. This healer has one of the most unique playstyles in the game. Rather than relying entirely on direct healing, Witch Doctor specializes in sustained healing effects, utility, and controlling the pace of encounters. One thing that makes Witch Doctor stand out is how rewarding it is once you understand the class. Planning ahead is everything. Knowing where damage will happen and preparing your healing in advance separates average players from great ones. When played correctly, Witch Doctor can make difficult encounters feel surprisingly manageable. Its healing overtime effects keep teammates healthy while freeing you to react to unexpected situations. The class also brings valuable utility that can make dungeon groups much safer overall. However, Witch Doctor isn't the easiest healer to master. If you're constantly reacting instead of preparing, you'll often feel like you're falling behind. That's why I recommend this class more to players who enjoy proactive healing rather than simply responding after damage has already happened. In experienced hands, it's absolutely capable of clearing the hardest content. A-tier, Chronomancer. The third healer in A-tier is Chronomancer. Chronomancer rewards knowledge more than almost any other healer. Everything revolves around timing. Using your cooldowns too early or too late can dramatically reduce your overall effectiveness. When everything lines up perfectly, Chronomancer feels incredible. You can smooth out incoming damage, support your team with unique utility, and make difficult boss mechanics much easier to handle. Another advantage is mobility. Many encounters require constant repositioning, and Chronomancer handles movement extremely well compared to several other healing classes. The downside is complexity. Chronomancer asks much more from the player than something like Templar. It's less forgiving when mistakes happen. For experienced healers who enjoy mastering complicated mechanics, that's part of the fun. For newer players, it can feel overwhelming. That's why it lands comfortably in A-tier. The potential is certainly there. It simply requires more practice to unlock. B-tier, Druid. Now let's move into B-tier with Druid. Before anyone gets upset, B-tier doesn't mean weak. It simply means the class has more noticeable limitations compared to the healers we've already discussed. Druid offers excellent sustained healing through heal overtime effects and can comfortably complete Mythic Dungeons and raids. Its toolkit allows experienced players to maintain steady healing throughout longer encounters. However, burst healing is where the class can sometimes struggle. When several players suddenly take massive damage at the same time, Druids often require more setup to stabilize the group. That doesn't mean it's impossible. It just means encounters become less forgiving. Druid also rewards encounter knowledge. The better you understand incoming damage, the more effective your healing becomes. Players who enjoy planning ahead will still find Druid extremely satisfying. It's simply a little less forgiving than the healers ranked above it. B tier, Shaman. The final healer on today's list is Shaman. Shaman has plenty of strengths, good utility, solid healing output, useful support abilities, and respectable performance in both dungeons and raids. The reason it lands in B tier is consistency. Some encounters feel fantastic. Others expose weaknesses that higher-ranked healers handle much more comfortably. Resource management can also become more demanding during longer fights. If cooldowns aren't used efficiently, you'll notice your performance dropping much faster than some of the other healing classes. That doesn't make Shaman a bad healer. Far from it. In the hands of someone who truly understands the class, Shaman can absolutely clear high-end PvE content. It simply requires more effort to achieve the same results compared to Oracle or Spirit Warden. So those are my current healer rankings for PvE in Conquest of Azeroth. But choosing a healer isn't only about tier lists. The best healer for you depends on your experience level, your preferred playstyle, and the type of content you enjoy the most. In the final section, we'll rank the best healer for beginners, compare Mythic Dungeon healers versus raid healers, go over the biggest mistakes new healers make, reveal my complete healer tier list, and finish with some tips that will help you become a better healer regardless of which class you choose. Best healer for beginners. Now let's answer one of the biggest questions for players who are thinking about healing for the very first time. Which healer should beginners play? If you're completely new to healing in Conquest of Azeroth, my recommendation is Templar. Why? Because Templar is one of the most forgiving healers in the game. You have solid healing output, strong defensive tools, and a straightforward toolkit that allows you to focus on learning encounters instead of fighting your own class mechanics. As a new healer, you're already paying attention to a lot of things. The tank's health, the party's positioning, enemy mechanics, your mana, your cooldowns. Choosing a healer that's easy to understand lets you develop those core healing habits much faster. The second recommendation would be Oracle. While Oracle has a slightly higher skill ceiling, it's incredibly rewarding once you become familiar with its toolkit. Its versatility means you're rarely caught without an answer. If your group suddenly takes heavy damage, Oracle has the tools to recover. If a fight requires sustained healing over a long period, Oracle handles that just as well. So if you're starting your healing journey, Templar and Oracle are both excellent choices. Best healer for Mythic Dungeons. Healing Mythic Dungeons is completely different from healing raids. The damage is more unpredictable, mistakes happen more often, and every player has a much bigger impact on whether the group succeeds. For Mythic Dungeons, my number one recommendation is Oracle. Oracle's toolkit is incredibly flexible. You have answers for almost every situation. Burst healing, emergency cooldowns, strong sustained healing, excellent utility, everything you need to recover from unexpected situations. Spirit Warden also performs exceptionally well. Its efficient healing and consistent output make it one of the safest healers for long dungeon runs where mana management becomes increasingly important. Templar deserves another mention here as well. If your group is still learning dungeon mechanics, Templar's reliability often makes progression much smoother. At the end of the day, Mythic Dungeons reward healers who can adapt quickly, and these three healers do exactly that. Best healer for raids. Raids are a different challenge entirely. Instead of focusing on 5 players, you're now responsible for helping keep an entire raid alive. Cooldown planning becomes much more important. Positioning becomes more important. Mana management becomes more important. For raid healing, Spirit Warden really shines. Its healing overtime effects and sustained healing output allow it to stabilize large groups over extended encounters. It's especially strong during bosses that constantly pressure the entire raid. Oracle is another incredible raid healer. Its versatility allows experienced players to react quickly to unexpected situations while still maintaining excellent overall throughput. Witch Doctor also deserves recognition here. In coordinated groups where everyone understands the encounter, proactive healing becomes incredibly valuable. Experienced Witch Doctor players can prepare healing before damage even happens, making difficult mechanics much easier to survive. Complete PvE Healer Tier List. So after considering Mythic Dungeons, raids, mana efficiency, utility, difficulty, and overall consistency. Here's my complete PvE Healer Tier List. S Tier, Oracle, Spirit Warden. These are the strongest all-around healers in the current PvE meta. Excellent healing, outstanding utility, strong cooldowns, and enough flexibility to perform well in almost every encounter. A Tier, Templar, Witch Doctor, Chronomancer. These healers are incredibly powerful. They're capable of clearing every piece of PvE content in the game. The only reason they sit below S Tier is because they either require more experience, offer slightly less utility, or have a few situations where the S Tier healers simply perform better. B Tier, Druid, Shaman. Both are perfectly viable. If you enjoy these classes, don't let this ranking stop you from playing them. A skilled player who understands their healer will almost always outperform someone playing an S-tier healer without experience. Tier lists are helpful, but player skill always matters more. 5 tips to become a better healer. Before we wrap up, here are 5 tips that will improve your healing regardless of which class you choose. Tip number 1, don't panic. One player's health dropping low doesn't automatically mean they're about to die. Stay calm. Assess the situation, then respond. Panicking usually causes wasted mana and poorly timed cooldowns. Tip number 2, learn boss mechanics. Great healers don't just react. They prepare. If you know a boss is about to deal massive raid-wide damage, you can already have your cooldowns ready. Preparation is one of the biggest differences between average healers and exceptional ones. Tip number 3, manage your mana. Healing every tiny point of damage isn't always necessary. Sometimes it's better to let small amounts of damage remain while saving your mana for dangerous moments. Efficient healers finish encounters with enough resources for the hardest mechanics. Tip number 4, position yourself carefully. You can't heal your group if you're constantly avoiding avoidable mechanics. Stand where you can easily reach everyone while keeping yourself safe. Good positioning reduces stress throughout every encounter. Tip number 5, trust your team. One mistake many new healers make is trying to compensate for every mistake their teammates make. Sometimes players simply fail mechanics. That happens. Your job is to support the group, not perform miracles every pull. Focus on playing consistently rather than trying to save every impossible situation. Final thoughts. Healing is one of the most rewarding roles in Conquest of Azeroth. While DPS players often get the spotlight for big damage numbers, healers quietly hold the entire group together. A great healer can turn what looks like a guaranteed wipe into a successful boss kill. That's what makes the role so satisfying. Whether you enjoy the reliability of Oracle, the consistency of Spirit Warden, the durability of Templar, or the strategic gameplay of Witch Doctor, there's a healer for every type of player. As balance patches continue to shape the meta, these rankings may change. But one thing will always remain true. The best healer isn't just the one with the highest healing numbers. It's the one who understands encounters, manages cooldowns well, communicates with the group, and stays calm under pressure. Those skills will always be more valuable than any tier list. And that's my complete PvE Healer Tier List for Project Ascension, Conquest of Azeroth. If this guide helped you decide which healer to play, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more Conquest of Azeroth content, including class guides, PvE and PvP tier lists, leveling guides, mythic strategies, raid preparation, gold-making guides, and endgame tips. And now I want to hear from you. Which healer are you planning to main this season? And do you agree with these rankings, or would you move a class to a different tier? Leave your thoughts down in the comments. I always enjoy seeing different opinions and discussing the current meta with the community. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.